May you find happiness and peace, and may your home stand the test of time.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be reacting to another video from Kirk. Today's video is titled Anti-Capitalist Suggests Inflation Isn't Real. So without further ado, let's get started.
How do you feel about like the current state of the economy and this whole theory of like immaculate disinflation, if you're familiar with the term?
Say that again.
Immaculate disinflation?
Well, we're not living through that.
Okay,
but
yeah.
Yes.
And where's your proof that we aren't exactly?
Are you talking disinflation?
Yes.
That we actually we're not seeing a surge in prices?
No, disinflation means the inflation rate is decreasing over time.
Well, so there is some evidence to show that, for example, televisions, iPhones.
Specific products, that's not an illustration of all inflation though.
No, I was going to agree with you that.
Okay.
But if you just go to a grocery store, eggs are far more expensive than they were 2 years ago. You don't have to overthink it. I mean, the college degree here at this university, what is it per year, guys?
30,000.
How much?
They've been
10 in state, 30,000 out of state. Yeah, 10 years ago, I bet it was 18,000 out of state, right? So
yes, but they've been trying to raise the Cal State tuition for quite some time, even before inflation spiked to its current levels or previous levels about a year ago. They've just been delaying it for quite some time. So
yeah,
it's not
I mean,
exactly.
We're living through a decades-long inflation surge, and the best evidence you can see it either in the artificial boosting of profit-to-earning ratios. Go ahead.
Even during like Trump's administration, inflation was actually quite low, so that's not
No, it was low then, but
true.
It's not low right now.
Yes, but why was it low then, would you say?
Well, because we had economic growth, and we weren't borrowing $2 to $3 trillion a year.
We actually were. We were borrowing quite a bit of money.
We were borrowing about $1 trillion a year.
Still quite a bit.
So we're borrowing about triple that right now.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
I mean, I think that's how the math works
so
out.
triple in the law of big numbers is a big deal. So borrowing $800 billion, not excusable. Borrowing $2.5 trillion, morally reprehensible.
Morally? Why exactly morally is there a
Well,
distinction between 1 and 3 trillion? Very arbitrary.
Because everyone here is going to have to pay off that debt, and that dollar that you think is going to have value is decreasing by the day. Whether you're pro-choice or Democrat.
But inflation is something that's going to occur no matter what.
Can
Sorry.
I finish? Okay.
I apologize.
It's okay. Inflation is not a guaranteed human norm. That's not true, but I'll get to that in a second. Every single person here, it will be harder than ever for you to own a home. So inflation is immoral because you're going to enter into a housing market where everything costs 3 times as much in the housing market than it did a decade ago. You will not be able to afford a down payment, let alone even be able to build the capital necessary for other goods and services that you might want to build wealth. And you know who does benefit is your parents' generation and baby boomers, no offense, that do own their assets and you won't. And so, secondly, inflation is a choice. It's not built into the human experience.
The human experience, sure, but the economic system, especially a capitalist economic system, it definitely is. How would you try to achieve 0% inflation?
0% inflation?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want 0% inflation.
So then it is built in.
Inflation...
And it is a necessary evil.
No, I said I wouldn't want it. Okay. Moderate inflation is good for money velocity and for growth.
Yes.
But you need to manage that versus the growth rate, right? So this goes back to Milton Friedman's idea of the Chicago monetarism. You can laugh all you want.
Friedman? Yeah, all right. Okay.
What's so funny about Milton Friedman? The fact he's the greatest economist of the 20th century, or
qualify? That's I don't know. I wouldn't say he's exactly that.
So you're more like a John Maynard Keynes guy. So yeah.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
no. I just take a more broad approach than specifically Milton
we don't
Friedman.
need to have a central bank. We do have a central bank.
Okay. Bold claim. I'll follow you though.
You don't need to have a central bank.
I used to be very against the Federal Reserve as well.
Okay, I'm just saying you don't need to have one, but we choose to have one. The central bank has been overly politicized to try to stop, let's just say, natural economic cycles from occurring. Both administrations, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, have leaned on the central bank to use cheap money as a way to try to keep the good times flowing and the good times going.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's definitely for sure.
So we don't agree. Well, we don't disagree.
Yeah, but here's the other thing I would say.
I gotta say, your protesters are kind of weak here, guys.
Aren't
I expected more out of them, right?
They didn't seem to have the energy to get
I
all
know.
the
I
front.
thought they'd have more, Yeah, I like it. Please keep going, yeah.
I will say, though, going back to the mortgage rates, as you were saying, I would say that probably has a lot more to do with private equity buying up homes than the inflation rate.
Well, hold on. There's 2 parts to that. I'm not talking just about mortgage. Interest rates are up. I'm talking about just the asset price itself.
That too. I would say it's a lot more related to private equity buying up homes.
But why is private equity doing that? Because they have so much cheap money that we've put into the system, they don't know what to do with it. Now, I think we could agree, actually, there should be laws against BlackRock coming in and buying single-family homes and renting them back. You should not be a society of renters. It's bad for society.
Yes.
So we can agree on that. I say that as a conservative. It's bad for the the human experience
Good,
and for
yeah.
generational flourishing. But when you open up the guzzle of cheap money, which we have done, especially
Yes.
post-COVID,
So-
there's a price to that, and the price is that your
yeah.
currency gets weaker.
Sure.
And
Okay.
we're seeing that right now.
Yes. Would you say that it was actually necessary in order to get out of the huge recession we experienced during the pandemic, to...
No, I think we should have just opened up the economy. We never should have locked down the country.
Okay.
So we never should have borrowed the $6 trillion. We never should have done the stimulus stuff. It
So-
hurt every single one of you. It increased suicide rates, depression, anxiety, fiscal problems, economic problems, political problems.
I could definitely agree with that to some extent. But would you say even in, say, 2009, lowering the interest rates to zero in that sense, was that
Well, we didn't
necessary?
go to zero. We didn't. We went down,
Well,
believe it or
okay.
not. We went to like 5%. COVID, we went to like near zero.
Yes.
But no, I have a contrarian view on 2008. I think we should have let the banks fail.
Ooh,
and
okay.
I think we should have. I think we actually should have allowed the market to solve it, not to
Okay.
have socialism for the rich and
You know what?
brutal,
Yes.
brutal capitalism for the working
I
class.
totally agree with that.
Okay, so
Totally agree with
I
that.
think that Wells Fargo, Goldman, I think that Lehman and the big banks that failed should have had to actually
Okay.
climb themselves out, or you destroyed a moral hazard,
Yeah.
is what you did, and zero executives went to prison. I agree
Okay,
with Elizabeth
yeah.
Warren on this. None of these robber barons that did what they did in 08 served federal prison time. Meanwhile, and I will use a political statement to contrast it, grandmas that went into the Capitol on January 6th and took selfie videos are in federal prison. You ask me who's a bigger threat to democracy? Wall Street executives that bankrupted our economy
Yeah.
in 2008
Oh,
are a
of
bigger
course.
threat to our
Of
country
course.
than people
Now-
that walked into the Capitol building and took a selfie.
Now, let me ask you this. I don't know if my memory served me correctly, but who was... did Steve Mnuchin serve under the Trump administration?
Yeah, he was from Government Sachs.
Did he serve under the Trump administration?
That's right, yeah.
So why would Trump invite someone like that who should probably be in federal prison into his
yeah,
administration?
I have a lot of personnel disagreements. I love Trump, but I think
You
some
love
of-
Trump?
Love Trump.
Why would you love... Why would... So...
Do we love Trump, everybody?
So, to ask a broader question,
Yes.
why would you love any politician? They
Well,
have a job to do. Why be emotionally
so,
attached
I
in
have,
that
he happens
sense?
to, and I don't say this like lightly. I do have a friendship with him. I've gotten to know him over a couple
Okay,
years.
okay.
So, and I
Disclosing
also
bias. Disclosing bias. Okay.
100% biased. And
Good.
so I also think whether you hate him or love him, he's a once in 100 year.
But why would
person.
you hate him or love him? He just has a job to do.
Well,
right?
I also love what he did as country.
Okay.
As president for the
Okay.
country. So.
Would you
but-
say though that you're probably more of a fiscal conservative?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I probably his borrowing was one of the two. So three things, if you want to just be full disclosure,
Yeah.
that I think President Trump could have done better, and I think he will do better. Fiscal deficit spending. Okay.
Why do you think he will do better?
Let me get to all three. Okay.
Okay.
COVID and certain personnel choices. Okay.
Okay.
Those are the three things, and
Okay.
and I could list 100 accomplishments. Those are three things I think that the first administration, that wasn't their best.
Yeah.
Why it could have been better? I think that he's got the world against him, and if he becomes president again, which the 50-50 shot he will, he's going to set the world on fire.
I would say he's a little bit too egotistical and emotional to really counter the world being against him. He seems to react a little too emotionally to these kinds of things.
I don't want to get too deep into it, but you're not gonna convince me on negative Trump stuff. So
Okay, interesting. So your mind isn't necessarily that open. Doesn't this change my mind?
you could try.
Okay.
I mean, you're not gonna.
But didn't you just say kind of up front that you're not
I mean,
really
I'm
gonna change your
open-minded to hear it.
opinion?
I'm just saying you're not going to change my mind on that
Okay.
Trump stuff.
Okay. So then, what is it that's leading you to think that Trump is going to have better decision making in this next term, specifically when it comes to borrowing? Because he is
Probably
going
out
to
of necessity. I mean, I don't know, and honestly,
Okay.
there's
Okay.
little evidence except the fact that
Just a little intuition.
we're going to have a debt crisis, the likes of which the country's never seen, and he's going to have to address it. We need to have severe cuts in the federal budget. We need
Okay.
to push
So would you say that the downgrading of America's credit rating is more related to our national debt or the inability to handle it in a mature way?
more both, but more just the debt itself is.
Okay.
I mean, we now owe more than we're worth as a country. So I want to get to other questions because you've had
Okay.
some time. But final
Perfect.
question. I want to be respectful, but.
So I guess if you think that that's an issue that we have more debt than say our current income?
Well, we do.
Well, yeah, but if you would
just
say
the value of the country.
Of course, we control our own currency, and our currency is
Yeah. Are you a
the
modern
number one
monetary theory
reserve
guy? So.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so-
It's the number one reserve, so that gives us a lot of wiggle
so
room.
it's decreasing. It used to be 75% of the world's reserve currency status 20 years ago. Now it's 55%.
I would say
Do you know
a lot-
about BRICS? You know BRICS, right? BRICS,
Yeah, I do.
BRICS is creating an alternative.
I think they're a paper
dollar.
tiger.
Okay, I hope you're. I actually hope you're right.
I don't believe
I
that
hope you're right.
India, China, South Africa, and Russia could ever work together to create their own
I hope you're right.
unified currency.
I just hope we're not too prideful.
Definitely a paper tiger.
Thank you.
You know, I love Charlie for that. He said, I hope we are not too prideful, because, you know, everyone can decide what their national currency is and, you know, stick with it. And I think it's working now because, you know, people are switching from the American dollar and they are moving to, you know, the Chinese yuan. And like that is the new trend now. And everyone is just buying into it. They feel like they've been using the American dollar for quite some time now and it's time for change. And I think if they should do it, it's going to crumble the American economy. And well, I'm not praying for that to happen anytime soon. But anyway, this is a beautiful debate. And I love the fact that Charlie came out clean. He said, yeah, I love Trump, you know, and I'm there for him and I'm there to support him. You know, there's nothing you will say that will change my mind. And I think that is the kind of love we all need, like kind of a partner that we need, that someone that will be there for us, both thick and thin, you know, no matter how you try to, you know, poison their minds, they're there to support you, they're there to be there for you. And I think during Trump administration, he did a whole lot for American. He brought American into that, you know, light that everyone became afraid of American again. You see, during what's it called, Barack Obama period, you know, he did a whole lot, but you know, American became so cool. But during Trump time, he put American out there to make the world know that yes, we are still there, we are still around. And I think after he left, you know, we started experiencing this war, you know, Israel and Hamas and what's it called, Ukraine and Russia, and it's just happening. And now we have a whole lot of coup in Africa. Like everyone is just trying to, you know, break away, you know, do what works for them. But during Trump administration, it wasn't like that. And I think what affected Biden administration was the COVID. You know, the COVID came at an unexpected time. You know, that 2020 was not the right time, because it became so hard for, you know, for you to control things. You know, he has to shut the border, and I think we've still not recovered from that. And I think immediately after that, that was when we had this Ukraine and Russia war. And I feel like they would have just calmed down and let us heal, because it's like we are trying to recover from the COVID. We've all locked ourselves in, and now we are going out to look for a way to boost our economy, and now they're fighting again. So I feel that is just something that affected Biden administration. So I don't know who is going to win this next election, but if either one, either Biden or Trump, I think things are going to be done differently. But this is a beautiful one. I love the fact that the guy came in with, you know, questions, you know, asking sensible questions, and he was open for debates. You know, some things Charlie accepted, some of them Charlie disagreed, and that is the essence of debate. You know, you're not supposed to bring something to me and I buy into it. Sometimes we both disagree, you know, to agree. And I think that's just it. I love this video so much, and I want to see more videos like this. So if you have any recommendation, let me know in the comment section. If it is the first time visiting the channel, click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and remember, bless.